Charlie's interested in talking about 2024 and Joe Biden, but I just want to make things very, very clear. The only worn-out old donkey I'm looking to put out to pasture is Charlie Crist.
Ron DeSantis is grabbing that bottle of 50-year-old bourbon, lighting a cigar, and chugging it tonight on the back porch of the governor's mansion because he was right. You were right. This show was right. Take your victory lap. Stand tall. If you were able to withstand the propaganda from hell itself over the last 2 years, then you are indeed victorious. No, you are not a mass killer if you do not get vaccinated. No, you are not a bad person. No, you are not someone who is destroying society. And no, you should not be fired. This based on multiple rulings, starting from the Supreme Court all the way on down. But today, the virtuous ruling, the symphony of them all, and we're going to go back through the incredible history of the victories that we have won on this issue from the tyrannical statists who want you in a box, want you addicted, want you fat, lazy, drugged, and want you unhappy so that you can be manipulated by the corporate press for their extreme agenda. Eat the bugs, live in the pod, and you said no to the propaganda. Clap yourself on the back. You were right. And now the Supreme Court of New York declaring today that if you fired someone because they were unvaccinated in the state of New York, then not only do those people get rehired, your ass is going to pay back pay to all of them. We called this months ago. We are hopping mad because these people were fired in the first place. On my desk, I keep a symbol of a police officer, a challenge coin, who this cop gave me this challenge coin and said I was fired because of the vaccine mandate. Officer, you get back pay. You were right. You stood your ground against tyranny, and now you know. Now you know who would have gone along with the evil regimes of the past, with the mass murder, the mass compliance to evil, and who the real men are. Who are the sheep and who are the lions in society? God bless the state of New York. Let's read the article. I'm hopping mad today. I am very upset about what happened to these poor people. I keep their challenge coins with me, and now, baby, we are seeing the victory. Let's go. New York Supreme Court reinstated all employees who were fired for not being vaccinated, ordering back pay and saying that their rights had been violated. The court found on Monday that being vaccinated does not prevent an individual from contracting or transmitting COVID-19. New York City Mayor Eric Adams claimed earlier this year that his administration would not rehire employees fired over vaccine status. New York City alone fired 1,400 employees for not being vaccinated. And guess who they were? Cops and firefighters. So if your family gets hurt or injured in New York because there is a police presence that is no longer there, or if your family burns alive, God forbid, first off, what is your family doing in New York? Get the hell out of there. But this is because these goblins, these brain-dead lizard people, fired good Americans because they didn't have a vaccine. It's illegal. It's illegal. They didn't take the medicine that they wanted them to take. And ladies and gentlemen, now who's coming around the corner for theirs? The unvaccinated are coming back in New York, and this is going to be a massive lawsuit. I think we are not seeing even remotely the beginnings or the ends of this. I think we've just seen the end of the beginning. Now get ready. New York State Supreme Court reinstates all fired vaccinated employees, orders back pay. Here's the order right here on screen. You can see what they said. The Supreme Court says it has ordered a declaratory judgment. Jerry, let's put up the order on screen, please. It has ordered a declaratory judgment granted in the Commissioner of Health and Mental Hygiene, dated October 20th, 2021, violates the petitioner's substantive procedural and due process rights pursuant New York Commissioner ordered that the declaratory judgment is granted in its court finding, and the commission lacks the power and authority to permanently exclude the petitioners from their workplace. Ladies and gentlemen, this one's crazy. The order finds that health and mental hygiene order dated was arbitrary and capricious. Wow. And ladies and gentlemen, this is crazy. Down here at the very bottom, the petitioners are entitled to back pay and the salary from the date of termination. FDNY and Uniformed Firefighters Association President Andrew Ansborough of New York Uniformed Service Officers said that the mayor refused to rehire these workers because of their vaccine status. We're here to say that we support the revocation of the vaccine mandate that the mayor announced on Thursday. These people are gonna get theirs. Man, imagine being someone in New York and a crime was committed and it harmed your family and there were no cops to help you, and that's because of these absolute monsters.
We have a bit of breaking news we're following here. New York State Supreme Court reinstating all those employees that were fired for not getting the COVID vaccine.
With backpay, I should say. And so New York's decision here to keep them out of the job is going to be very costly.
Very costly. They're going to have to pay. I mean, this is going to be tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars. You're talking thousands in New York alone. This is, of course, a shot across the bow for the entire country. Anyone who lost their job because of a vaccine mandate will be able to use this as established law and has a massive lawsuit on their hands. These states that did this had better be furiously rushing in order to try and fix this and to pay these people out and rehire them. I know that Seattle just fired a ton of cops and firefighters for not being vaccinated. Ladies and gentlemen, this is just the beginning. But it is certainly the end for the tyranny of the Biden administration. They were wrong. You were right. You withstood the propaganda, and bravo to you. You've been right the entire way. Now, were you fired for not getting the vaccine? Those were in relatively extreme circumstances, but you definitely had to wear a mask. There is no doubt in my mind that you were forced against your will to wear a mask in order to fly or in order to go and get your grocery stores. That, of course, collapsed when a based Florida judge appointed by Donald Trump struck that down earlier this year.
It really is a simple ruling. They're saying the CDC exceeded its authority. The question everybody wants to know right now is, if I'm getting on a plane in 3 hours, do I need to wear a mask?
Well, this federal judge is declaring the order to be unlawful. And so from the perspective of the court, it's not enforceable. They will most certainly appeal this. I can't imagine that the White House and Justice Department will leave this where it is. The judge here really delivered a body blow to the administration and said that, you know, the public has a right to be heard, as does the industry, in opposition to these types of national moratoriums. And the court says you basically just sort of short-circuited that. You didn't do any notice or comment. You didn't consider those views. And the court says, I'm willing to accept that wearing masks may reduce illness and transmission, but that doesn't mean that you can effectively become a government unto yourself. Yep. And that is a really tough line, because remember, the CDC lost an earlier case where it did a national moratorium on evictions, and the court found that they exceeded their authority.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Professor, thank you for your perspective. We're moving on to
the administration and the regime tyrants are getting bodied again and again and again and again. Do you remember when Joe Biden wanted a vaccine mandate? Man, we do not remember what this regime tried to do to us. They hope that enough wings and enough Bud Light and enough NFL will get us to forget that they tried to force every employer in this country to do a vaccine or work policy, including me. Of course, we would have never done it, but they tried. They put forth the order, and the Supreme Court told them to shove it directly up a needle and then directly up their own ass.
All right, first, Bianca, a new development this hour on President Biden's vaccine mandate. OSHA is withdrawing the vaccination and testing emergency standard that it issued back in November. This will be done away with officially tomorrow. OSHA says the rule makes sense, but they won't try to enforce it or impose it because they say the agency now is prioritizing resources to focus on finalizing a permanent COVID-19 solution. So another shifting standard there, Bianca.
There we go. U.S. Supreme Court blocks Biden vaccine or test policy, large businesses. This was from January 13th. Do you remember that? It was almost a year ago. You should. Joe Biden tried to force you to lose your job if you didn't take the medicine that he thought you should take, that he should force on you. Never in American history, never in this history of this country, or quite frankly, of any country that is surviving today, because regimes that do this are evil. The regimes that do this to these people, to their people, that say that your bodies are not yours. There is no bodily autonomy. Your property of the state. That's what Joe Biden said here. Reading to you from Reuters, U.S. Supreme Court on Thursday blocked President Joe Biden's COVID-19 vaccination or testing mandate for large businesses, a policy that conservative justices deemed to be improper imposition on the lives and health of many Americans, while endorsing a separate federal requirement for healthcare facilities. So, ladies and gentlemen, it took me a second to talking with our producer for this show, ALX, try and recall the details of this, because it's wild how quickly the world moves, and they want you to forget this, but never, ever forget it. I've got to say, Joe Biden, what is he forgetting? Well, Joe Biden was asked today whether COVID-19 is still a national emergency. Joe Biden got his 90th booster shot today. He always does this on camera. He doesn't do anything else on camera. He does this on camera. Here's Muppet Joe Biden getting asked whether we're still in a national emergency. So,
yeah. Mr. President, is COVID still a national emergency?
It's a necessity to deal with, making sure it doesn't become one.
Huh? Okay, that's a little weird, because, a couple of weeks ago, Joe Biden was saying the pandemic is over.
This is a global health emergency. If we really want to put COVID behind us, we have to keep up the fight together.
Is the pandemic over?
The pandemic is over. We still have a problem with COVID. We're still doing a lot of work on it. But the pandemic is over.
Okay, so we have no idea what the hell is going on. Joe Biden did get his 50th shot today or whatever at the White House. Peter Ducey reporting.
This is going to be President Biden's 5th COVID shot. They have all been on camera, but this is going to be the first one since he declared the pandemic is over.
Okay, very good. Joe Biden, the pandemic's over, but I'm just going to get my shot here if I can get my jacket on.
Would you
dirty bomb allegations from Russia? Do you believe this is the beginning of a false flag operation? Mr. President, on the dirty bomb allegations from Russia. The dirty bomb allegations from Russia as it relates to Ukraine. Do you believe that this is the beginning of a false flag operation? Is Russia preparing to deploy a dirty bomb itself or a nuclear weapon?
I spent a lot of time today talking about that. Let me just say, Russia would be making an incredibly serious mistake if we're to use a tactical nuclear weapon. I'm not guaranteeing you that it's a false flag operation yet. Don't know. But it would be a serious, serious mistake.
Biden unable to get his jacket on, but really talking tough. Yeah, to get in there, This is, of course, a situation that we have escalated in our administration. This is, of course, a situation that we have fomented by sending trillions in taxpayer dollars over to Ukraine, giving them all the weapons in the world, and not calling for peace. America has all the leverage here. They could have just called for peace. But instead, we just found out moments ago that the Democrats who are calling for peace have rescinded their letter. So now they are the elitist warmongering party, and AOC will continue to be protested inside her own district. Thank God. Now, they love to warmonger. They love to fearmonger. This was Joe Biden saying, hey, if you're unvaccinated, this is going to be a winter of death and illness for you. Remember
For
that?
unvaccinated, we are looking at a winter of severe illness and death for unvaccinated. For themselves, their families, and the hospitals they'll soon overwhelm.
Okay, so it's gone from a winter of severe illness and death to get a shot once a year forever. This was the White House messaging today. You'll die if you're unvaccinated to get a shot every single year for the rest of your life. Pfizer bot.
And if you're fully vaccinated, get one more COVID shot once a year. That's it.
Once a year. That's it. Hey, man, sounds pretty good. Even Karine Jean-Pierre, the dumbest person in the White House, this is saying a lot. The dumbest person in the White House was on message today as it pertains to whether COVID is a risk still or not, a pandemic, a severe illness and death. What is it exactly? Can we all get on the same page?
Today I asked the president if COVID was still a national emergency, and he said it's a necessity to deal with to make sure it doesn't become one. His answer would suggest that perhaps it's not a national emergency right now. So is it fair to call it a national emergency under the HEROES Act to justify student loan cancellation?
So the student loan cancellation, first and foremost, that was decided by the appropriate agencies. That was the tool that we were going to use to make sure that we give relief to Americans that need it.
So is COVID a national emergency? She doesn't know. She's phoning it in. They're all going to quit after the midterms. We know this. We have this on good authority. They're all going to quit after the midterms. They're done. There's going to be mass resignations at the White House. No one's going down with this sinking ship. No way. No way. And they know it. They're not all singing from the same page. You can tell when you're in the middle of a PR crisis because everyone has a different message. This is a video that the White House put out today about COVID-19. We're restoring the soul of America. Remember that, kids. We're restoring the soul of America. Remember that, kids. This is all about optimism, okay? It's coughing, creepy violin music. Yeah, it's fear-mongering at its best. That's all they know how to do, is to bang their fists against the tables and fear-monger. But these people, no one's scared of them. They should be scared of you. It needs to be the other way around. Get ready for what's about to happen. There's going to be a red wave. We are going to be victorious. We have been victorious in the courts against these COVID tyrants. And now there is going to be justice. Dr. Fauci will be investigated. Dr. Fauci will be subpoenaed. Dr. Fauci will hopefully be imprisoned for what he did during COVID-19. Another massive study out today about COVID-19's engineering fingerprint. The fingerprint of COVID-19 being something that was manipulated in a lab. We'll share the story in the morning and the study in the morning, and you can see how these scientists who work in the Netherlands have essentially broken down the molecules for COVID and found the essentially like the biological fingerprint makeup of like the stitching together of how they made COVID in this laboratory where they made coronaviruses from bats, from horseshoe bats inside the same laboratory. It's so obvious that Dr. Fauci was in on this from the beginning, and this is how you know it. When Dr. Fauci's questioned about it, he starts to literally shake. This is a guy who's good under pressure, and he's good on camera. He's a piece of slime. He's a piece of scum. He's a rat in a lab coat. But let me tell you what, he doesn't often shake, and he doesn't often break. Dr. Fauci shaking when asked about the origins of COVID and what he knew. You know this man is going to jail.
I want everyone to understand that if you look at those viruses, and that's judged by qualified virologists and evolutionary biologists, those viruses are molecularly impossible to result in SARS-CoV-2.
Caused the pandemic. We're saying they are gain-of-function viruses because they were animal viruses that became more transmissible in human, and you funded it.
And you
admit the truth.
And you implying...
Senator Paul, your time has expired, and I will allow witnesses who come...
See the shaking hand? Look at that. Look at that. I am the science. I am the science. I am the Senate. Anakin. Ultimate power. It's like Dr. Fauci this close to fighting Yoda. That would be a fair fight because Dr. Fauci, if you've met him in real life, and I've been in the same room as Dr. Fauci, he is as tall as Yoda. And listen, man, it's So beautiful what's about to happen in this country. We are going to take back the levers of power, and we are going to start these investigations. The American people will have no more of it. And we'll end by saying this. We were right. We were right. Months ago, we called on Candace Owens' show in February out these tyrants, and we demanded back pay for the fired cops and the fired public servants and anyone, frankly. I don't care what you do. Are you a plumber? Are you a technician? I don't care if you're someone who checks out groceries at Walmart. If you were fired because you didn't take a therapeutic that they wanted you to take, medicine that they wanted to force on you, then good for you. Sue them, get your back pay, and get damages along with it, because that's what comes next here is damages. And those are going to be billions of dollars of damages to these people because you've destroyed lives. The banality and the evil of these people, there is absolutely no equal. We called it. Remember, your boy Benny was there for you. And now we win. We have won.
You're going to make a mandate right now. It should be that all the people who are vaccinated stay home and they lose their jobs.
Right.
You should bring back the cops and the members of our military who were fired for not getting the vaccine. And every one of those cops, every one of those military members, every one of those frontline workers, of which my wife is one, is a nurse, deserves an apology. They deserve to get rehired right now with back pay and a bonus and an I'm sorry from Joe Biden himself. I doubt Joe Biden has the flexibility to do this, but he should be down on his knees, groveling and saying, I apologize to all of you. How dare us
come
do
on,
this?
leave Joe Biden. He has no idea where he is, what day it is.
I mean, I saw him on his knees when he was trying to get up on Air Force One. He fell down the stairs.
He's just